What's going on, you guys? It is your boy, Matt Talks Films, and I am back with another video, and I'm back with another review. And this time around, I am talking about and reviewing the newest space film of the 21st century. I am talking about Project Hail Mary, directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, and it's also starring Ryan Gosling. Before I get into my full thoughts and opinions about this film, I had massive expectations heading into this film because I am a habitual Letterboxd user. I use it religiously. And this film on Letterboxd currently has a 4.4 average rating. And not only that, to spice it up even more and to set my expectations up even more, it is currently ranked 100th on the all-time Letterboxd list. That is crazy. And I wanted to see this film anyway. I love Ryan Gosling. I think he's one of the best actors in the world of film right now. Just a tremendous performer. And after I saw those two things for this film on Letterboxd, I'm like, you know what? My expectations are out of control. And not only that, I had to wait a few days to see this film. I had car problems recently. By the way, car problems are the worst. And I finally got my car problems fixed. And I was able to see this film today. And I have to say this before I get into my full thoughts and opinions about this film. The expectations were massive heading into it, and the expectations were met. They weren't exceeded, but my God, they were met, and this is a perfect blockbuster. It is possibly the second greatest American space film I've ever seen in my life, outside of 2001 Space Odyssey. So, if you want to hear my full thoughts and opinions about Project Hail Mary, because man, I have a whole lot of them, leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe right here, right now, Matt Talks Films, just so I know you were here. And also follow me everywhere at Matt Talks Films, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter for more short-form content like this. Now, let's get into this film because there is a lot to talk about, and I'm going to try to keep myself contained and cohesive and coherent. I'll try my best, but when I love films like I love this film, I tend to get out of control. I tend to get out of whack, especially after just one viewing. Now, I need to go see this film one more time. Preferably, that would be in IMAX because I didn't get to see this film in IMAX. I didn't because of my car problems. I didn't want to risk a drive to Newburgh to go see this film in IMAX. Instead, I had to go to my local cinema, and I saw it luckily on the biggest screen that they have. And it was great. It was a tremendous time. Before I get into my full thoughts and opinions about this film, let me tell you what Project Hail Mary is about. Now, I did not read this book, Project Hail Mary. I didn't. I do know this, though. Project Hail Mary is written by a very famous author that also wrote great books such as The Martian. And that got adapted into a film starring Matt Damon, obviously. I didn't have a chance to read this book, and to be quite honest with you guys, I am not a huge reader. I'm a great listener, though. I love audiobooks. Did not have a chance to read / listen to this book before this film, so I am reviewing this film as someone that didn't read the book and didn't have much knowledge to at all about this book. And yeah, I'm going to this film blind as possible. I had no idea what this film was going to be about outside of the few trailers that I saw. Here's what Project Hail Mary is about. Science teacher Ryland Grace wakes up on a spaceship light years from home with no recollection of who he is or how he even got there. As his memory starts to return, he begins to uncover his mission. Solve the riddle of the mysterious substance causing the sun to die out. He must call on his scientific knowledge and unorthodox ideas to save everything on Earth from extinction. But an unexpected friendship means he may not have to do it alone. That's what this film is about, and wow, what a story. What a story, and what a terrific job by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller to bring this story to the big screen. I have to imagine, without reading the book, I have to imagine Andy Weir is tremendously proud of how his book was brought to the big screen. Now, I could be wrong. He could hate it, but there's just no way. There's just no way. I just don't see it. Even without reading the book, there's just no way he would hate this. Even if it isn't perfection or ideal to him, like, there's just no way you can hate this film. And I see a lot of people hating this film on Letterboxd since it had that great rating to open up. A lot of people are trying to shit on this film and trying to lie, but man, I'm sorry. This is just a terrific film, almost in every facet. I'm going to get out what I didn't like about this film to start. And in case you didn't know, this video will be spoiler filled. I'm sorry. It's too great of a film to not talk about it in depth like I want to. But in case you just want to hear my rating of this film before I get into my full thoughts and opinions, it's a 5 out of 5. It's not a 100 out of 100, but goddamn, it's like a 96, 98 out of 100. I love this film. It made me feel something magnificent. I was entertained thoroughly, and I thought Ryan Gosling gave a performance that was an accumulation of his career. And man, we are in March, and the previous Oscar season just ended. But man, I hope Ryan Gosling gets his much deserved Oscar, especially for a lead man role, Best Actor award. He needs to get one ASAP, and this might be the film that gets him that. Now, we are early in this year, but he's the best performance by a long margin for me. But what did I like about this film? It's not a lot. The two things I didn't like, because honestly, they're not huge problems to me, but I thought this film was going to end several different times, and it didn't. I thought this film was going to end like 4 to 5 different times. Instead, it did go on a tad bit long. But with that being said, I did love the ending. I love what happened at the ending. I love that Ryland Grace, instead of heading back home and not saving Rocky, he goes to Rocky and he saves him because Rocky saves Ryland Grace earlier in the film, and he goes to Rocky's planet. And Rocky's species, they are brilliant, and they make Ryland Grace at home. We see Ryland Grace becoming a teacher on his planet, and we see Rocky being able to tell him, hey, we're ready to prepare Hail Mary to return back home. Ryan Gosling, aka Ryland Grace, he loves Rocky. He doesn't even want to leave. He doesn't even want to return back to Earth to see if he actually saved it. He just wants to stay on this earth with Rocky a little bit longer because he loves Rocky. And the friendship that he formed with Rocky here on his planet and through his time and space is something he can't really form or find again on Earth, because he was a pretty lonely guy on Earth. Didn't even have a dog. But I did like the ending, even though I do feel like it was going to end 4 to 5 different times than it did. But that's not a really major problem because I love the ending, but it did feel like it was going to end 4 to 5 different times than it actually did. Another thing that I was upset at first, but I'm glad it didn't pan out that way because, to be quite honest with you guys, I don't think a grim ending would have worked with this film. Rocky dying, then not dying. At first, I was like, man, Rocky dying is such a huge and bold swing. The sequence that leads to Rocky's death in the moment, even though he didn't die, was hair-pullingly intense. It was the most intense space sequences I've seen maybe ever. And I love Interstellar. I'm a fan of Interstellar, even though everyone tries to hate on it nowadays, but I do really like Interstellar. I thought the sequence in this film that takes place before Rocky's death, quote unquote, was hair-pullingly intense and one of the best space sequences of all time. That was insane. And then obviously Rocky sacrifices himself to save Ryland Grace, who gets injured in that sequence. And Rocky doesn't end up dying because Ryland Grace wakes up and takes after him and watches him while he sleeps. And listen, at first I was like, man, maybe they should have kept Rocky dead. Then I'm like, this is not the film for that. They can't make this film this grim and this bleak. We just can't end on that. We can't have this film be too bleak and too grim. And I really appreciate Rocky being revived. But in the moment, before I started thinking about it in the moment, I was like, man, if Rocky did die in this movie, it would be a tremendously bold swing. But I'm glad they didn't do it. So it's not really a problem. I'm just considering, would it have been a better story if Rocky died? In my opinion, no, but I can see why people would be swaying towards that opinion. But I love Rocky too much. I got too attached to Rocky. Rocky and Ryland Grace's relationship in this film is among some of the best on-screen relationships I've seen in a while. They were tremendous together. I mean, it's insane, first of all, from Ryland Grace, aka Ryan Gosling, to have such great chemistry with a extraterrestrial being, pretty much a rock. And the voice acting of Rocky by James Ortiz is brilliant as well. Terrific. I loved watching these two bond and share the same respect for each other and have the same goal, which is saving their respective planets. It was brilliant. They were so funny together. So listen, even though I understand people wanting Rocky to die in that moment because maybe it would have made a more entertaining story to them, I disagree because I feel like this film was filled with hope and there is enough bleak moments and grim moments in this film that really highlight the stakes in this film and really highlight the tragedy on some levels in this film. So I didn't really think Rocky needed to die. I think Rocky coming back to life and healing was exactly what this film needed because, to be quite honest with you guys, I didn't want to see Rocky die. I loved the character too much. I wanted to see him return to Adrian and save his planet, just like how Rylan saved his planet. And I think Rocky sacrificing himself to save Rylan and Rylan doing the same thing at the end is pretty poetic and pretty awesome and a great sign of friendship. I love that. So those are my two problems and negatives with the film. But to be quite honest with you guys, they weren't that big of problems or negatives. Those are the only two things I can really think of in the moment where I'm like, if I had to nitpick here, if I had to really say what I had a problem with, those were the two things. But to be quite honest with you guys, I thought the ending was good, even though I thought the film was going to end 4 to 5 different times than it actually did. And even though I understand the argument that maybe Rocky should have stayed dead or should have actually died, I love Rocky too much. Sue me. I thought Rocky was a great character and honestly one of the best alien characters to ever be put on a screen. I'm going to say it. I have big, big, big statements to be made about this film. Another one. This is the second greatest American space film of all time. Statement. Call back to the actual film if you've seen it. Statement. I do. And I love Interstellar. I don't think this film was a better film than 2001 Space Odyssey. Obviously, I love Kubrick. I own it in 4K. Shout out to me, who's single-handedly keeping physical media alive. Even though my pockets probably don't want to do that, but I do that anyway because I am single-handedly saving cinema. But besides that, this is a better movie than Interstellar. Fight me. Throw tomatoes at me. Yell at me in the comments. I like Interstellar. I think it's really good. I think it's great. Great score. Terrific acting. But I'm sorry, Ryan Gosling and Rocky's relationship in this film is superior to most of the things in Interstellar. And honestly, I think the weight of saving the planet in this film is felt greater than it is in Interstellar. And it makes way more sense in Project Hail Mary. So let me know if I'm bugging or I'm actually just preaching and I know ball. Project Hail Mary is the second greatest space film in American history. Now, I am clearly, if you look at me, not a man who is very smart. Like, I'm not a guy who knows too much about science. Because I understand Interstellar doesn't make a lot of sense to some people who are scientifically inclined. But, listen, watching Project Hail Mary, I was a lot less confused than I was watching Interstellar. At least my basic knowledge of science. So, listen, this was brilliant, and I think it's the second greatest American space film of all time. And the reason why I'm saying American space film is because I haven't seen Solaris yet, Tarkovsky film, and I heard that's a great space film. So, in fear of me bugging out a little too much, I'm just gonna say it's the second greatest American space film I've ever seen in my life. Now, where do I even begin? First of all, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, two of the most interesting directors to bring a film like this to life. In case you didn't know, these two were responsible for directing the Lego Movie, 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. They were also producers of like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Mitchell's vs. the Machine. These guys have had their hands in really great projects, and this film right here is a great collaboration by both of them. But I also have to shout out potentially the best cinematographer in the game. The cinematographer of Dune 2, Dune 1, Batman, Rogue One, Vice, The Creator. I'm talking about Greg Fraser. This is one of the most beautiful looking films I've ever seen in my life. The usage of color, shot selection, framing, It's just absurd to look at visually, and I can't imagine how this film looked like in IMAX 70 millimeter. By the way, I haven't even been to an IMAX 70 millimeter showing. I had to slow that down for you guys. That is hurtful to hear from my own mouth because I'm not that far away from New York City, but every time I go to book a screening for an IMAX 70 millimeter showing, it's booked out. Like I wanted to see Oppenheimer in 70 millimeter IMAX, couldn't see it for months. So I just saw it fucking in Newburgh on the regular IMAX screen, and I saw it like 6 times in theaters. But that's besides the point. This is one of the most beautiful films I've seen in a while, and one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen in my life visually. Greg Fraser is a magician, and you might as well consider him extraterrestrial. He is maybe the best cinematographer in the world of film. He did a terrific job on Dune 2, The Batman, and this might be his best work yet. I was in awe of this film, and he's one of the major reasons why. I was awe-stricken throughout the entirety of this film in every aspect that you would want to when going to a theater. Visually, I was awe-stricken. Storytelling-wise and narratively, I was awe-stricken. Performance-wise, characterization, I was blown away by the script and the screenplay. Even though it's adapted from a book, I was still blown away. I was awe-stricken in every which way that I would want. And shout out to Greg Fraser for making this film one of the most beautiful films your eyes will lay upon. The uses of color. I mean, I can go on for days. And I kind of wish I was like my boys at EFAP. And I say my boys, I don't even know them, but I love their content where I can just pull up the film right here and pause at every frame and talk about every frame because that's what I feel like I can do with this film. And I've only seen this film once. It is one of the most beautiful films I've ever laid my eyes on. It is your ideal popcorn blockbuster, but there is so much more there. There is soul, there is hope, there is beautiful characterization. There is a friendship between an extraterrestrial alien and a human, with both trying to accomplish the same thing. And it is so much more than a popcorn blockbuster, but it's also your perfect popcorn blockbuster. You're constantly munching on popcorn. You might cry. I cried watching this. That conversation with Rocky and Ryland Grace, where Ryland Grace tells Rocky that this was a suicide mission for me. It was. I'm going to die. And then Rocky's like, hey, I'm going to give you what you need to get back home. It's just going to take me 6 years longer to get back to my planet. And I'm like, I'm crying. I'm like, God damn it. These two are great. And this really pertains to some of my favorite films of all time and some of the greatest films of all time. Is like, I would pay anything to be a fly on the wall when this film was being made. Apparently, there's no usage of green screen or blue screen. And some of the shots in this film, you're like, how the fuck is that even possible? And I'm really curious what the scenes between Rocky and Ryland Grace look like. Was that a prosthetic? Was that a robotic figure that Ryan Gosling was talking to during the scenes? Because how the hell did he get that much chemistry with that robotic animal if it was? Just a lot. It's the best films of all time and some of the greatest films of all time really make you have that wonder of how the hell this was made. And in the modern day of cinema, that is rare to come by. And this film is a great example of that. Every frame, every minute of this film, I had a lot of thoughts, but one of the thoughts that kept coming back to my mind was, man, how the hell did they make this? And how did they make it look so beautiful? And man, everyone a part of this film just reached genuine flow state. And I hate to bog down my vocabulary to younger people slang, but they were reaching genuine flow state. Like genuine flow state. I just Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, they already made really great films in the past. Like I'm a fan of 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I haven't seen the Lego movie, but they put themselves in a category where it's like, hey, we might be the guys. Like we might be able to make special film after special film. Like that's what they did here, and they stamped their mark with Project Hail Mary. I couldn't be more blown away with what they brought to the big screen. So shout out to Phil Lord and Christopher Miller and Greg Fraser. I thought they were absolutely terrific. Another thing I have to shout out on the filmmaking side, I thought the score was terrific. I really did. Now, is it Interstellar level? No, it's not. But it was very, very amplifying and adding to the stakes. And I was a huge fan of the score. I also thought the sound design was incredible. I wasn't in an IMAX setting, so I didn't get to hear this film at the loudest volume possible. But man, it was loud, and man, did that immerse me even more. Everything on the technical side, everything in the layers of filmmaking was done perfectly. I don't know how you can have a problem with this film. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's not a 5 out of 5. But the lowest you can go with the score is a 4.5 out of 5 or a 4 out of 5. There's just no way you can go lower than that, because how does this film get anything wrong outside of maybe ending way too late and maybe should have sticking with Rocky's death? I can't really name anything else wrong in this movie. I thought the technical aspect of this film was great. So shout out to Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, Greg Fraser, and company. They did a brilliant job. This film is exciting to look at in every frame. The shots in space, when Ryan Gosling is spacewalking, it's terrific. It's mesmerizing, and I was left awe-stricken for the whole 156-minute runtime of this film. Every shot in space, when we first get to see Rocky in his ship, the wonder that fills you. I didn't read the book, so maybe that's why I was so filled with wonder and fascination, but I just was so fascinated with what was going to happen, and I was fascinated and blown away with how this film looked. It didn't look like slock. It didn't look like slop, and I'm shocked. It's one of the best films of the past 5 years. I really couldn't overstate that, and I feel like I said that a lot last year, and I wasn't expecting that this year. But geez, this film is serious. And I don't know where I would rank this film if it got released in 2025, but it would probably be up there on the list. I mean, special, special, special stuff. And Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and Greg Fraser and company really, really did their thing. So, let's talk about a couple other things in this film, because I do have a couple other things to talk about. I genuinely can't overstate how funny Rocky and Ryland Grace's relationship in this movie is. I mean, it is just pure comedic genius, and it's funny because it doesn't have that Marvel humor. It doesn't have that superhero humor where the comedy takes away from the severity of the moment or the intensity of the moment or the stakes. It actually complements the moment, the importance, and the stakes perfectly. It doesn't take away from the moment at all. It's beautifully done. The tone in this movie is incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible, incredible, incredible. The way this film blends the importance, the stakes, and the duality of it all. And then plus you have an actor like Ryan Gosling who just pull it off. This film's comedy is terrific. I love the relationship between Rocky and Ryland Grace. They are both in space for the same reason. They both have the same experiences, even though they are different severely in make and model. They both had to watch their space mates die. They're both lonely until they meet each other. How that relationship transforms, how they learn from each other, how their bond solidifies. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. And that's not a relationship you ever want to get rid of. So I completely understand why Ryland Grace doesn't want to return home. I love the relationship in this film. From Rocky's first moment meeting Ryland to Rocky's first moment on Ryland's ship to Rocky saving Ryland and then Ryland saving Rocky and saving Rocky's planet. Tremendous filmmaking, tremendous storytelling, and tremendous performances from Jay Ortiz as Rocky, and tremendous performance from Ryan Gosling. I love the tone. I love the tone of this film. How they can switch from funny to emotionally pulling to devastating to depressing to filled with hope, and from to both planets being saved. This film has zero Marvel humor, and I hope anyone. This film has zero Marvel humor, and I hope anyone watching this feels the same way, because the humor and the comedy is done so well. It's not choppy and hacky comedy. It's actually brilliant comedy. So shout out to this film. Shout out to Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and company for making it a great script and making it aptly funny and feeling right, because this easily could have not felt right, and they absolutely nailed the humor. Ryan Gosling as Ryland Grace. Ryland Grace is in a medically induced coma for 13 years during the interstellar journey to Tau Ceti. I hope I'm saying that right. That's the name of the planet that he has to go to. Due to this, he suffers from memory loss. And obviously, he has to figure out, put the pieces together, why he's here, why he's on the spaceship, and why. Why is he here? What's his purpose here? And man, oh man, 13 years, and then you wake up, you're on a spaceship, and you don't know why you're there. I thought Ryan Gosling potentially gives the performance of his career. And I was watching a video the other day talking about where Ryan Gosling would rank on the best actors of all time list. Is he in the top 100? I think he's easily in the top 100, and I think he's easily in the top 50. That's where I will stop, but to be quite honest with you guys, I think he's one of the most talented actors of the 21st century and one of the very best. To me, there's a yearning for talented actors that can do it all: sing, dance, and be funny, and have a charismatic personality, and have a strong cinematic presence on screen that leads you to do any role possible: action, sci-fi, adventure, romance, musicals. And he is that. He reminds me of a way, way, way more talented Gene Kelly. Like, Gene Kelly is one of the most talented people in cinematic history. He can do it all. He can even direct. But in my opinion, Ryan Gosling is not only a way better actor, but he is comparable to a lot of the other things that Gene Kelly can do. Now, he might not be able to sing as good or dance as good as Gene Kelly, but goddamn it, he can dance really good and sing really well. And obviously he can do way more from an acting standpoint than Gene Kelly, but he is truly one of the most talented people cinema has seen in a while. And in my opinion, he deserves to sit alongside Timothy Chalamet and Leonardo DiCaprio as the big dogs in cinema right now. There isn't anything that Leo or Timothy can do that Ryan Gosling can't do. And to be quite honest with you guys, Ryan Gosling takes a lot more risks, meaning he is going to be in Crazy Stupid Love, The Fall Guy, and a couple other films I don't think Leo or Timothy would even go near. And he kills those roles. He was great in Barbie, great in Crazy Stupid Love, and great in fucking The Fall Guy. And he is a terrific leading man in cinema. And if I was making a film and I was directing a film, he'd be one of the first guys I would want in it, if not the first. What an actor, what a performer. He is one of those actors where I just can't wait to see whatever he does, because he has an interesting palette, he has a great range, he has great talent, and he can make or break a film. And quite honest with you guys, I don't think I've ever seen him break a film. He's usually the best part of the film, even if that film isn't really that good. Like Barbie. He's the best part of that film outside of Margot Robbie and the great production design on that film. He's terrific, and I can't overstate how great he is here. My favorite performance from him all time is La La Land. La La Land is one of my favorite films of all time. Saw it in theaters a couple weeks ago. It was a euphoric experience. But I think this might be his best performance. Like, the amount of diversity he shows in this film is ridiculous. He's funny, he's charismatic, he is really good in the space sequences, meaning he's believable in them when he's walking the spaceship and wonder why he's here, and he's confused, he's lost, he's trying to put the pieces back together. But then there's these emotionally intense moments that he pulls off effortlessly. His performance makes you love the character Ryland Grace, and his performance really makes you feel something special that you should want to feel every time you go to the theaters, every time you go see a film like this. And without him in this film, I don't know how much this film works. Who could have played Ryland Grace better than Ryan Gosling? This was a role meant for him. And I didn't even read the fucking book. But I have to assume Andy Weir is absolutely filled with joy that Ryan Gosling gets to play the character that he wrote, because who the hell else could have played this character with the amount of charisma he's asked to have, the amount of fun he's asked to have, the amount of emotional intensity he's allowed to have, the amount of emotional intensity he's supposed to have, the amount of relatability he's supposed to have, and the believability that he's supposed to have. I just don't see anyone else playing the role of Ryland Grace. Let me know in the comments if you agree. I think you should agree, because who the fuck else is playing Ryland Grace? Who else is this funny, this charismatic, this believable, this relatable, and this emotionally intact, and who can just pull the emotional strings that you want to be pulled for films like this. He's terrific in every regard, in every aspect. Ryan Gosling is a man of all trades, and he can do it all. Ask him to be a fucking action leading man, he can do that. Ask him to be the co-lead in a romance film, in a musical, he can do that. Ask him to be the best supporting character in a Barbie film, he just steals the show. Ask him to be in this film, Project Hail Mary, where he's this guy that's thrusted into space. He doesn't belong there, but he does belong there, and he doesn't even know it. Ask him to be that guy. Ask him to form a relationship with an alien, an extraterrestrial being. He could be that guy, and he makes that chemistry impressive. Because how the hell does he have this good of chemistry with a fucking alien? It's insane. Him and James Ortiz have terrific chemistry together. Which I'm curious if James Ortiz was voice acting with Ryan Gosling present, or Ryan Gosling was just acting without James Ortiz voice acting at the same time. I really would be curious to see how that went down. Ryan Gosling is terrific in this film. I can't overstate that enough. The scene when Rocky finds out this is a suicide mission is an all-time scene for me. Just a terrifically emotional scene. That scene between Sandra Hüller and Ryan Gosling on the boat before she sings that karaoke song, that song by Harry Styles. It's a sign of the times, by the way, a terrific song, an unreal song that I didn't realize was sang by Harry Styles, but Sandra Hüller's version of Harry Styles is a sign of the times is a brilliant rendition. But that scene right there is great. By the way, I know I just talked about how great Sandra Hüller's rendition of Sign of the Times was, but I am not a Harry Styles listener. I've heard the song in passing. Best believe I blasted this song on the way home twice over. Even played it on my speaker walking into the house at 12:30 at night. So I probably woke up some people, but it is what it is. When I see a good movie, everyone has to know it. And that moment in this film is spectacular. Not only is it fitting to what that moment is, everyone is celebrating, having a beer and drinking and singing karaoke. And Ryan Gosling has to pull Sandra Hüller in the building pretty much for her to break her shell and to get away from who she is for a second to demonstrate her talent. It's great. Ryan Gosling's glance from the bar, Sandra Hüller singing it strictly for him, and for the moment that he's in, it's terrific. I love that. Another scene that is a huge moment in the story, which ultimately thrust Ryan Gosling into a more important role, even though he's incredibly important, is when the space team blows up, which makes 3 people left, which leaves the 2 people that died later on board with Ryland Grace, and then it leaves Ryland Grace who doesn't want to go on board and doesn't want to do this mission. Rightfully so. Even though saving humanity is great, he's not a fucking astronaut. As he says, I put the knot in astronaut. He obviously is forced up there, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but great scene again. Terrific, terrific, terrific scene. That scene when Ryan Gosling wakes up for the first time on the spaceship. He finds out his other space mates are dead. He has to put pieces back together and find out why he's even here, who he even was, is great. There's like little pieces of acting like that where it's so rare for a performer to pull off something like this, and he does it effortlessly. I could not be more impressed with Ryan Gosling, and I'm probably his biggest believer and biggest supporter. And if this film doesn't fully make you believe in his talent and make you just floored by his talent, then I don't know what to say. After watching this film, I have to believe that new Star Wars film directed by Sean Levy starring him might be great because of Ryan Gosling. If not, Ryan Gosling's going to make it watchable and good. What a performance for Ryan Gosling. I know I just went on a tangent there, but he's great. Sandra Hüller. I hope I'm saying her name right. Or Hüller. I'll go with Hüller. She was in Anatomy of the Fall and The Zone of Interest. I haven't seen both of those films. Shoot me in the fucking face. I know. That's embarrassing. I need to watch those 2 films. This is my introduction to her. She's going to be in the new Digger film as well, starring Tom Cruise, which I heard is going to be insane. Can't wait for that. But she's really good in this film. She's not in it a lot. She just isn't. But her twist in this film is tremendous. So here's the twist for her in this film. Her character is Eva Stratt. She's the lead of this project to save Earth. She's actually the bad guy because she sends Ryland Grace up to space against his will. She puts him in a medically induced coma against his will early, and she forces him on a suicide mission to save the Earth. Her explanation is, listen, you're going to look at this like me turning your back on you and stabbing you in the back, when this is me really believing in you, which is true, but at the end of the day, she sent Ryland Grace up to space against his consent and against his will. But she also saved Earth, and she believed in the right person. And I believe this. Is it possible that her putting Ryland Grace in a medically induced coma before going on the spaceship is what saved his life? Because Yao and the other space mate die, which leaves Ryland Grace by himself. And I'm curious if that's what actually saved Ryland Grace. But Sandra Hüller was a really good character in this movie. You were liking her. She had charm, charisma. She was funny. She was really good with Ryan Gosling in the scenes that we got with them together. But then she's actually the enemy. She's actually a bad person. But she's also saved Earth because she trusted in the wrong guy. So it's a weird dilemma. It's a weird dilemma, but it's a great twist. It's great writing. This is like, yo, I want to read the book. Like, man, I'm curious how they maybe flesh that out a little bit more in the book. But man, that's really terrific stuff. A great twist that I wasn't expecting. But it was really a great add to the last half of this film. Because as we slowly put pieces together with Ryan and Grace, you're not expecting that. Maybe you're like, okay, he decided to go up last minute. That's a cliche we've seen in movies similar to this where the earth is on the line. I don't want to go. I don't want to risk my life, but it's my destiny. It's crazy because some people are like, this is a weird comparison, but some people are like, the greatest president would be the president that doesn't want to be the president. And in this case, the person that doesn't want to save the earth is actually the best person to save the earth because he's selfless, even though he might be the man for the job, which is Riley Grace's character. It's really tremendous. Sandra Hüller is really good in this movie as Eva Strat. I was a big fan of her performance, and I love the twist with her character. I wasn't expecting it. It was a great add. It was a great touch to this film. Also, another really good performance in this movie. He was formerly in Jackass Forever, and I think he's in the show The Bear, which I've never seen. Lionel Boyce as Carl. He is great with Ryan Gosling to start this film. The scenes with Carl and Ryland Grace are legitimately funny. It's hilarious. That scene where Ryland Grace asks Carl if he has an expense account, and he's like, no, but I do. And they go to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, and they get all the supplies that Ryland needs. They even get sour Skittles, and they get back to the warehouse that Ryland Grace is working at to help solve things. And all the secret agents at the warehouse are eating sour Skittles, and Carl's helping him and actually helping Ryland Grace solve the problem with him, unbeknowingly. It's great. Lionel Boyce is great in this movie. Really, really great. That was unexpected. And Ryan Gosling kind of proves a point here. He can have chemistry with anybody, including a fucking rock, which he has a chemistry with a fucking rock in this movie. Not only does Ryan Gosling have chemistry with Sandra Hüller, but he has chemistry with Lionel Boyce, and also with Rocky, the alien, who looks like a rock. This man is special. Those three performances, those four, I'm going to include James Ortiz. Ryan Gosling, James Ortiz, Sandra Hüller, and Lionel Boyce are all terrific in this film. Terrific. James Ortiz does some of the best voice acting I've seen in a while. He's supposed to have this monotone voice, but somehow he makes this faceless alien have tremendous emotional range. It is a great feat by James Ortiz, and it's also a terrific feat by Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, Andy Weir, and the brilliant screenplay that is written for this film. A book adaptation. They do a terrific job here. I mean, unbelievable. Drew Goddard and Andy Weir, former writer of The Martian, the other Andy Weir adaptation, and he also wrote Cabin in the Woods, World War Z, Cloverfield, and another film, Bad Times at the El Royale, which is not a bad movie, actually. And he's also touted to write The Matrix 5, Which, why the fuck are they making another Matrix? The best thing about this film is obviously the relatability of Ryland Grace's character. Even though it's hard to be as smart as his character is, he's considered a failure. He has a doctorate, but he ends up being a science teacher. But something he wrote in the past thrusts him into this role of importance, which is figuring out why the sun and stars are being killed by astrophage or astrophy, a microscopic, energy consuming alien organism that travels between stars. These space-faring microbes reproduce using stellar energy, causing the sun's luminosity to drop drastically, threatening to plunge Earth into an ice age, which we see later in the film is starting to happen. But luckily, Ryland Grace saves it just in time. Even though he's thrusted into this position without him wanting to be at first, he is happy that he's making this change and he wants to be a part of it, even though he believes there's about 1,000 other people that are smarter than him. But he's the right person for the job. And then later in the film, he gets thrust into this position and going to space without his consent and without his want, against his will. And yet, in space, after putting back the pieces of who he was and why he's even here, he realizes this is exactly where he should be, through his relationship with Rocky and through this feeling of actually saving Earth and saving humanity and saving 2 planets, not just one. So I was really enthralled by this astrophage and how it acts like an interstellar mold, feeding on stellar energy and converting it into mass. I love the trip to the planet where the astrophy are and how they get the predator from that planet, which leads to the saving of 2 planets, Earth and Rocky's planet. Tremendous stuff. That whole mission right there, going to that planet and getting what they needed using the fishing mechanism, enthralling, hair-pullingly intense. I was enthralled by the whole astrophage and what was actually killing the stars and the sun. Huge fan of that. Man, I don't want to go too much on the tangent here, but I feel like I've covered everything. Hopefully I was cohesive. Hopefully I was coherent. But overall, Project Hail Mary is one of the best films I've seen in the past 5 years. And maybe one of the best films I've seen in the 21st century. And I hate to make these hyperbolic and brass statements, but this is really how I feel. This film made me cry. It made me laugh severely. And I was emotionally attached to this film severely, while also being awe-stricken in every way possible visually and just by the performance specifically of Ryan Gosling, James Ortiz, Lionel Boyce, and Sandra Huller. So overall, clearly I give this film a 5 out of 5. It's easily the best film of 2026 so far. I mean, with the upcoming releases, it's going to be hard to beat this film. The newest Spider-Man film, I love Spider-Man, don't think it's going to beat this. Dune 3, I love Dune 2, I like Dune 1, don't think Dune 3 is going to beat this. Digger, starring Tom Cruise in that stat cast, directed by a 2-time Best Picture winner. Tom Cruise is going to be a role that we haven't seen before. That might be the only chance of Project Hail Mary being overtaken in the year 2026. It's early in 2026, but this has to be the Oscar favorite for Best Picture. Ryan Gosling has to be the Oscar favorite for Best Actor. And obviously, this has to be the Oscar favorite for cinematography and Best Director. A splendid film. It's funny. It is smart. It is soulful. It's filled with hope. It's filled with integrity. And visually, it's one of the most mind-blowing films you will ever see. I had a blast. I felt every emotion in the book. I was pulling my hair intensely, not literally, but I was grabbing the back of my hair during some scenes. It was perfect. You feel the stakes, you feel the importance, and you relate to Ryan Gosling, which is a hard feat to pull off, but Ryan Gosling pulls it off, and Andy Weir, Goddard, and Miller, and Lord pull it off somehow. This is a tremendous feat, and this is a special film, and I can't overstate this enough that you need to go see this film on the biggest screen possible. I didn't get to do that. Hopefully I have a chance to do that. Maybe I take a train down to AMC, the 70mm IMAX screen, and go see this film, because This film deserves to be seen on the biggest screen possible. What a time at the theaters. A 5 out of 5 for Project Hail Mary, a 96, 98 out of 100, 2 thumbs up, maybe even 2 thumbs down, because that's how Rocky would do it. Perfect. I love this film. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Ryan Gosling fans, stand the fuck up. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Hopefully I covered it all. I mean, I'm trying to think of maybe what I missed here, but I don't think I missed much of anything. I think I nailed it on the head, my full thoughts, or at least the full thoughts that I can fully say after one watch. Maybe if I did 2 to 3 watches, I would be able to go into it more in depth, but to be quite honest with you guys, at that point, I would just be talking your ear off. Go see this film if you don't believe me. I think this is the best space film since Interstellar, and with all due respect to Christopher Nolan, this is a better film than Interstellar. Makes more sense. Best lead performance out of the two. The only thing Interstellar beats Project Hail Mary at is the brilliant score soundtrack, but honestly, Sign of the Times and the score for this film is brilliant. I don't know how you feel, but that's what I have it as. So hey, maybe it's recency bias. Maybe I'm just hyped up and drugged up with how I feel after watching this film, but that's really how I feel. This film quenched a yearning I had because I was in a drought not going to the theaters. I haven't been in the theaters. I don't even know what I remember. I don't even remember what I saw last time I was in theaters. The last time I went to the theaters was for 2 movies. Undertone, which is actually a really good horror movie that I wish I reviewed on this channel, but I didn't. And Slanted, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It's about an Asian girl that wishes she was white because she wants to win prom queen in the year 2025. Horrible film. If you like that film, that says a lot about you. But yeah, so I haven't been to the movie theater since March 14th, and today is March 25th. So I saw it on March 24th. So that was 10 days. That's probably the longest I've been without going to the movies in a while. So yeah, Project Hail Mary, an absolute banger. And yeah, 5 out of 5, 96, 90 out of 100. A beautiful film. Now, here's the thing. When are you going to see me next reviewing a new movie? This week isn't that great. So honestly, it worked out that I saw this movie as late as I did. I haven't seen Ready or Not 2, Here I Come yet. I got to see that. But this week, we have They Will Kill You, which looks interesting. Heather Graham's in it. Zazie Beetz is in it. The AI doc looks great too. Forbidden Fruits comes out this week. I don't think I'm going to be reviewing any of those films. I will tell you this though. I will absolutely be going to see Oppenheimer in theater Saturday, and on Monday on the waterfront, Marlon Brando. That is 2 movies that I will definitely be going to see this weekend. On the waterfront, one of the greatest films of all time, can't be overstated. But next week is the drama, Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. Can't wait for that, even though I got hit with the spoiler because of TMZ today, which is fucking ruthless because I don't even really listen or watch TMZ. It just shows up on Twitter, and then I go in the comments, and the comments showed the spoiler for the drama, and I'm pissed because I was waiting for that twist in that movie. Hopefully that doesn't affect my viewing of this film because I'm a huge fan of Zendaya. I'm a huge fan of Robert Pattinson. I'm a huge fan of a couple other people in that movie that I've seen in the trailer. So sorry for going on a tangent, but Project Hail Mary was great. Next time you see me, I will be doing a review on the drama starring Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. I have to imagine that's going to be very good, if not great. So, it is your boy, Matt Talks Films. If you made this far in video, leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe right here, right now. Matt Talks Films on YouTube. And follow me ever at Matt Talks Films, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter for more short form content like this. Let me know in the comments right now. Is Project Hail Mary one of the greatest space films you've ever seen in your life? Is it better than Interstellar? Let me know in the comments because I believe it is. Let me know if I'm bugging, or let me know if I have great taste like I believe I do. So, it is your boy, Matt Talks Films, and I'll see you on the flip side.